Let's go now to immigration. You will remember at the last election, the Prime Minister said he didn't want a big Australia, but since coming to office, they've ramped up immigration to record-breaking levels. The numbers are staggering. Almost 620,000 people have arrived in 2022, and in net terms, Australia's population has swelled by just under 500,000 people over the same period in time. The largest increase, of course, in Australia's history. Meanwhile, the government expects us to believe it's serious about improving housing affordability as it bangs the drum today in Canberra, having got through, or likely to get through now with Green support, its Housing Future Fund. Joining me now for the latest, Shadow Minister for Immigration and Citizenship, Dan Tehan. Dan, welcome. I reminded my viewers back in the election campaign, and certainly on the record in December 2021, opposition leader as he was then, Anthony Albanese, said he wouldn't support your plans to take on 160,000 new migrants. He said the government instead should focus on training the unemployed and young Australians. He's totally backflipped here. Why the sudden change of heart?
I don't know, but it's big Australia by stealth, and we now know that there are 2.5 million temporary visa holders in Australia at the moment. It's increased by 750,000 under this Labor government. You know, we've got the record net overseas migration occurring, 1.5 million over 5 years. When it comes to those with failed asylum seeker claims, those who came by plane and now seeking asylum, we've got 70,000 of those waiting. And then there's the COVID visa, where they've issued more COVID visas post the pandemic than the coalition did during COVID. So everywhere we look, it's big Australia. And as you've said, there is no plan to deal with where are we going to put them. And if you look at the latest rental figures, it shows that rental vacancies are at their lowest level ever. So it is big Australia by stealth, and sadly, it's young Australians who are paying the cost.
I guess the frustration I have, Dan, is government doesn't do a thing. Prime Ministers don't get out of bed without a plan or an inquiry or a review, a piece of paper to tell them, to turn the kettle on. Here we've got a situation, something as absolutely critical as our population. It's got this sort of laissez-faire, let the migrants drive how many people we have in this country. It's not like we're working to a population plan, a number that they put out in budget terms that we then keep to, so that we are prepared once they arrive to house them, to transport them around, that there are jobs for people. Why is this area, this critical area of government policy, left up in the air like this, deliberately so?
Well, it shouldn't be, and there should be a plan for all those reasons that you've mentioned. The impact that it has on our transport infrastructure, the impact that it has on environment, the impact that it has on housing. All these issues need to be addressed.
Hospital beds, education.
You need to education, new schools. I mean, one of the things that we're seeing under this Labor government is they're taking away all the policies that we put in place to settle people into rural and regional areas where there are workforce shortages. We're seeing suburbs expand in Sydney and Melbourne again. And, the Andrews government has just cut key pieces of public transport infrastructure to those suburbs. All these things just show there is not a plan at all. And what we need to see is local, state and federal government working together in this area to make sure there is a plan so that we get a better Australia, not Labor's big Australia. And at the moment, it's Labor's big Australia as far as the eyes can look.